Chris Heasley Show, coming to you from Radio Debang, the North America's premier broadcasting network.
Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. And on today's show, we have two people with us, two Texans with us, that are looking to overturn the establishment in our United States Congress. Two candidates for Congress coming out of Texas, two political outsiders that are looking to turn over, to do some sort of an upheaval with our political establishment. And with us today, we have Alexandria Butler, candidate for CD9. Congressional candidate.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Chris.
Good.
Thank you for having me on.
Good, and I'm glad to have you.
Yeah,
It's
I
good
love
to have
being
you.
here.
Yeah. And we have Nick Tran, congressional candidate for CD9.
CD8.
Goodness, I'm sorry, CD8. Okay.
I'm 9.
9. Okay, gotcha.
8 and 9.
Gotcha. And where is CD8?
CD8 runs from like the bottom of Huntsville and with the new redistricting goes all the way down to Katy, like top of Katy, I think, or we've gone back to the original CD8, which is mostly Montgomery County, but we're still fighting that fight. But right now it's Montgomery County, it's Spring, Tomball, and Conroe.
Great, good. Well, we have a lot to talk about today, but what I want to do, it's Nick's first time on the show, and he has quite an interesting background. And just tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick.
Well, I escaped Vietnam during the fall of Saigon on the very day, and escaped with my father. My mom had been in the other side of town. They were separated, so she lived in a different side of town and was captured as the communists came and overran Saigon. The airport had been captured because my father had helped with coordinating a counterattack to help give more people time to escape Vietnam. And we were unable to get out by plane, so we had to find one of the last boats out of the country. And we got on a small boat that was made for 18 people, and over 100 people jumped in that boat, and we headed out to the South China Sea and just fled with the clothes on our backs. We didn't have anything else. Didn't have room for anything else, and it just was stranded out in the ocean for 3 days, ran out of food and water, and luckily we were rescued by an American warship on the third day as people were dying from dehydration. And that was my first experience meeting the military from the United States. And they took us to Guam, and we lived in that refugee camp until we were granted political asylum and to come to the United States. And ever since that moment when we were rescued, I knew that I was going to be an American. I knew that I had to pay back this country for saving us and for fighting for our freedom. And right after high school, I decided to join the Army and repay that debt, that life debt that I felt I owed this country. And did 3 years, fought in Desert Storm, got out, went to college, and had a good career in energy for about 12 years until 9/11 happened. And then I felt again that that debt, that need to serve again. And I re-enlisted, joined the Army again, and then went to Afghanistan and then Iraq. And 13 years of service. Got out, went to college, used my GI Bill to go to college, and then started a career in oil and gas. Did that for 12 years, and after 4 years of Biden, I felt that it was time to step up again because, I fought for us overseas. I swore an oath to defend us from enemies, foreign and domestic, and I see enemies within our country destroying us from within, and I felt I had to step up.
Wow.
And it just so many things were just going wrong during the Biden administration, and what was up was down, what was down was up, and somebody had to do something, and I was tired of same old politicians from the establishment, from political elites, choosing their own representatives for the people, and I felt I'm one of the people. I need to step up. Somebody who didn't have political ties with the political elite, that didn't rub elbows in D.C., who's going to fight for the people, not fight for D.C. And that's why I'm running.
Nice. It's a fascinating story. Yes.
Excellent.
So, okay, what is it? What kind of an impact on you does it to know that your homeland country, Vietnam, is today a communist country? That when you had to flee that country because the cancer, the scourge of the planet, communism took it over, and that's what it is today.
Now, a lot of people don't realize that South Vietnam was a constitutional republic modeled after the United States. Had a great relationship with the United States. We wanted to be like the United States. And the North was supported by China and Russia, the Soviet Union at that time. And they were obviously communism. And when we lost South Vietnam to the North and became a communist country, it broke my heart. You know, not everybody got out. My mom was stuck in the country along with my grandmother and my brothers. And they all got put in re-education camps. It's almost like a concentration camp, but not as bad. My brother who fought in the South Vietnamese military, he was put in a concentration camp. Got tortured and it was just horrible. I mean, I hate communism of every fiber of my being, and seeing a country who's on its way to becoming a very strong ally of America and having the freedoms of America lost to communism is something that I will not allow America to suffer that fate. And that's why I'm fighting so damn hard to make sure that doesn't happen. And I see it happening. I see it happening with our youth that's been indoctrinated. I've seen, people say never forget after 9/11.
Right.
That was our battle cry going into Afghanistan and going into war after that. And 24 years later, we forgot.
We forgot.
With the recent election of Mandami and as the mayor in New York, people just don't know what's going to happen. And I think what scares me the most with the Democrats winning New York City, it gave them hope and rallied them, and they're gonna have their next big target in their eye and have their eyes on Texas, and we got to defend Texas with everything we have, because if we lose Texas, we lose Electoral College and we lose the entire country. It becomes a uniparty.
That's right.
So did you say your brother, he was put into a re-education camp and tortured in Vietnam?
So I had two half brothers from a different mom, same father. They're a lot older. Like there's an 18-year difference in age. So I was 5 years old when I escaped Vietnam, and my brothers were, the youngest one was 18 years older, and the older one fought as a paratrooper in the South Vietnamese Army. Wow. And the one that didn't serve in the military was just put in a regular re-education camp. Learn about communism, how they provide everything, how the fatherland provides everything, which is, we all know, is bullshit. But the one that actually fought against communists in North, he was put into a concentration camp. Hard labor, tortured, beating. He made it out, eventually escaped, but mentally it messed him up for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
So were you able to reconnect with those two brothers?
They escaped probably 5-6 years later. The one that was in a concentration camp ended up in Canada, and the one that was just a regular civilian made it to Houston. My father sponsored him, and he lived here for most of his life, worked for Baker Hughes until he retired, and then he moved back to Vietnam just for cost of living.
Wow.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Okay, and so you were 5 years old. I'm sorry, I don't want to move on past this story yet. You're 5 years old. You're out at sea. You're rescued by American sailors.
On the third day.
Mm-hmm. Third day out, no food, on a boat made for 50 people, 40 people. You have 100 people put in it.
18 people. So 18. It was one of those PT boats. I don't know if you know the old show,
yeah, right.
PT 109. It was a boat made for river operations.
Wow.
And we took it out to open sea, and of course it didn't last. The engines died because it's just not made for
just
ocean
floating.
seas. Yeah, it was stranded out in the ocean. And actually, in the morning of the third day, we heard people were just dying because it's just out of dehydration. And we heard a big scream that woke everybody up. And it was a young mother, probably in 18, 19 years old, found out her baby had died through the night. And she just picked her baby up and just jumped overboard, and everybody screamed. And that was that morning. And, people started succumbing to dehydration and the heat. And like I said, America literally saved our lives on that third day and 11 o'clock in the morning.
God has a purpose for you.
Yep.
What's funny, it was like, it was April 30th is when we escaped, and May 2nd was when we were rescued. And in May 2nd of this year, 2025, 50 years later, when I announced my candidacy to run for Congress, it was what I said was America saved me 50 years ago, and I'm stepping up to save America now.
Come on now. That's beautiful.
Yep. So, do you see similarities between the Vietnamese communists and our own Texas Democrats?
Yeah, it's about the Texas Democrats think that, or want people to think that the state provides everything for you. And I mean, not state, I'm not just talking about the state of Texas, I'm talking about our government. That's not how capitalism works. No. You have to earn it. Not anything ran by the government. It's not run well, as you know. You've been in DMV, you know what that's like. You don't want, I'm a veteran, so I go through VA healthcare, and that's not something that anybody wants to ever experience.
Yeah.
I tore my pectoral tendon. I was working out, tore it and trying to lift too much weight, and just the steps that I had to take to get surgery to get reattached was a nightmare. I mean, going to get X-rays 3 times because they lost the first 2 times. Right. Having to go to see ortho, waiting 3 hours, and then ortho telling me to go downstairs to get an MRI, and I go downstairs to get an MRI, and they say, well, we don't take walk-ins. I was like, Usually, I just came from upstairs. And I was like, well, we don't take walk-ins.
Start at the first floor, work your way up to the third,
and then
come
have
back
to go
to
back
the
up to
second,
5th floor and say, hey, look, they said they don't take walk-ins, and then I had to get the doctor to actually call down and say, well, yeah, I need him to do it. It's a nightmare.
My husband's a vet, and we are always at the VA, and it's not the most pleasant day of our lives.
Yeah, that's on my agenda to fix.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into the issues. One of the things, Nick, you told us about is that you recently had an event that supported the Second Amendment for women. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's funny all these politicians talk about supporting the Second Amendment when they don't even know. They're just talking points. They don't understand the value of the Second Amendment, and they always talking about what sporting purposes does this have and what hunting purposes. The Second Amendment is not about hunting or sporting.
Right.
Forefathers just fought a Revolutionary War. They didn't care. Hey, they didn't come back from a duck hunt.
Right.
And to have the ability to protect yourself is a God-given right. And the Second Amendment is the most important one.
Inalienable.
Exactly. And it's the most important one because it protects the other amendments. I mean, imagine the First Amendment rights and not be able to say something or like
freedom of speech.
God, what's happening in the UK? You're getting arrested for posting something on Facebook.
The police show up because of your post 3 weeks ago on Facebook in the UK.
Yeah, they're right for their own revolution.
That's amazing.
But yeah, what I did with the community is, after the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the senseless murder of the Ukrainian refugee,
right?
People are just living in a very dangerous world, especially for conservatives.
Yes. And
I wanted to give the ability for women to have the skill sets to defend themselves because, I don't know if you know Kyle Morgan, he's a Delta Force soldier, and he said something that he's something I admire greatly. And he said, if you have the ability, it's your responsibility.
Yes.
And I felt it's my responsibility with my experience, been in combat, three different wars, training Iraqi and Afghan soldiers and SWAT teams here in the United States, to transfer some of that knowledge to the community, to the people, some of the most vulnerable people, which are women in our community. And people go to the range and you shoot at paper silhouette targets, and you're standing there stationary, one target, slow fire, and that's not going to prepare you for 5 guys rushing into your house.
Right.
To be able to learn how to engage those targets effectively. Because you're protecting yourself, and not only that, you're protecting your family.
Right.
So we offered a free class for women to do some dynamic shooting, and we had to limit it to 25 people because I had 4 combat vets who volunteered to help me as range officers and instructors. And we did a class for free, and 25 happy women out there know how to defend themselves a little bit better. I mean, it's a start. But
I think about stuff like that. In the Black community, they say that 75% of children are in homes where there's just a single mom there, right? Mm-hmm. So we have all of these single mothers, and if something should happen, like there was some attack, right, because of all these people that flooded through Texas and our southern border, unchecked, unvetted, we have no idea they are military-age men. Anything could happen, kidnapping, anything. These are the people that need to be aware of these types of classes. They need to be aware of their rights as American citizens, that you you should be carrying. I mean, there's really no reason why a woman who lives alone with children should not have a gun.
Yeah, not only should you should be carrying, you should know how to actually use it.
Right, and actually use that
and
weapon.
Another thing is we need to eliminate these gun-free zones. I mean, they're not
What is
they're not
that?
going to protect you. The gun-free zones are target-rich environments. They're kill zones. Having been in Afghanistan, been in ambushes. There's people with guns and there's people without, and it usually doesn't work out for people without.
Right.
Yeah, I think women, their nature, they are a target.
Right.
I heard, I think it was Joe Rogan, he was saying that women should learn martial arts, and I don't agree with that. I think that women, that they should be physically fit.
Yes.
And that they should be in the range, because a woman is not going to be able to defend herself against a man unless she has a weapon.
Right.
And so I feel like every woman should be out there.
I agree.
Training in
Something.
in weaponry, in
Bow and arrow.
at ranges. Bow and arrow, yeah.
Something,
Well, I think at ranges they should definitely be at a range, and
I know how to use a crossbow.
yeah. But the other thing about it is that can you imagine, Alexandria, in your neighborhood, if the women in your neighborhood all were armed?
That would be awesome.
But not just armed, but then also practiced, because I do believe that if they're not at the range comfortable with the weapon, then they're prone to making mistakes.
Yes, absolutely.
But I mean, yeah, if our women in our city were comfortable with the weapon and practiced in it, I feel like it'd be a lot safer city.
I feel like we would develop more of a community. When I grew up in the, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, we had more of a sense of community, right? Like our neighbors knew us, everybody knew us, oh, did you eat today? Here's some food, stuff like that. If everybody could, get trained, everybody's effective, and we're all talking, like, hey, you went down to that class, I saw you there, and we all live around each other. That creates a community, and that's how like neighborhood watches start happening. You start talking more about, oh, I saw this guy come over here, I don't know who he was, but everybody's talking, and now everybody's on guard. This kind of thing could keep our communities absolutely safe. Absolutely.
There's also saying a armed society is a polite society.
Yes. Because imagine somebody's carrying, you're not going to cuss them out, are you?
I mean, the bad guys are already carrying.
Right.
Right, gun laws don't they don't care about gun laws. The only gun laws do is strip the law-abiding citizens from the ability to defend themselves.
Well, you have to rebel against laws that are really against logic sometimes, and I hate that. I hate to say it like that publicly, but in a gun-free zone, when they have that gun with a little slash through it, right, and you're walking in there like a Walmart, okay, and some bad guy, he disobeyed that law, right, and you, a good guy, disobeyed that law, and now you're protecting all of the citizens of America in Walmart. You become the hero,
Well,
right?
Alex, I mean, that's why you and I are running, right?
Right.
To make sure that those laws are not there.
Because they're silly and illogical. You have think about it. You're telling people, don't bring a gun in here. The bad guys are going to look at that and laugh. They're not even going to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if a little woman gets assaulted by a larger man in a Walmart, did Walmart contribute to the crime?
Yes, they did.
Because a little woman needs a weapon. So she's in her car, she puts her weapon in her glove compartment
Right.
because she's abiding by the Walmart rules. She goes
Right.
in, and then a larger man beats her. Mm-hmm. Did Walmart... And by the way, just as an example, maybe we should just say the word big box retailer. Did the retailer
Right.
contribute to the crime because of their policy?
Yes.
Not only that, I think the culture has been men are not men anymore.
There's
People
some
just standing around.
instability. There's some instability
I
going
see so many videos of like people getting attacked, women or men or just
Right.
old, elderly, and other people are just standing around, don't want to get involved.
Right.
Man up.
Man up.
I think the left has pushed that toxic masculinity is a bad thing. I think that we need toxic men.
But it's not even toxic. Like the men are not toxic. It's just men are men, and I think men should be allowed to be men, right?
Yeah.
And without ridicule, without saying they're dumb, without this, let them be simple and figure it out, right? I just disagree with this whole leftist ideology and this feminist ideology that there is this toxic masculinity when like this whole feminist movement is toxic. The whole thing is toxic. So they can't really declare, like we have to consider the source. Who is saying that toxic masculinity? Real masculinity is real. Like, look, I grew up watching Perry Mason, okay? I didn't know Raymond Burr was gay because he was was a man. He was a masculine man.
I didn't know it either.
Yeah, right. He was gay. He had a partner his whole life, and you wouldn't know. Like Rock Hudson, he was masculine. A lot of women liked him. He was on TV. He was gay. You would not know that there was anything effeminate in any way about these men because they carried themselves like men. And maybe the problem is that there's a lot less gentlemen, but there's a lot less ladies too. So I don't know. Society has shifted to this place where these people are doing what's right in their own eyes.
And they want to completely just eradicate any sense of individualism. Right. They want us all to be meaningless drones, and a part of that equation is to promote the beta male.
Yes.
Right. The beta male who never takes initiative, who always stands on the sidelines.
No ambition.
Because they're safer.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're promoted as the intelligent kind. Yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, I think that we need to find our roots.
I think most people don't realize the true evil that is out there. I faced them. In mountains of Afghanistan, and we're talking about people who murder innocent civilians and children. I mean, people don't have the slightest clue because they've never met somebody like that. And those are sometimes when they meet them, it's too late. It's the last time they get to meet somebody.
Right.
So you have to. You don't want to make your men weak. You want them strong.
Yes.
Because when we fight the demons and the monsters out there, you want a savage to go after them.
Right.
And when I say
unleash the male.
Right.
Unleash them.
I mean, there's a difference. Like I say, when I say we need more toxic masculinity, I'm not talking about a guy who abuses his spouse. I'm talking about somebody who is loving and caring,
right?
But can turn on that savagery to protect what he loves.
That makes the community feel safe.
I want to talk about one thing. We talked about individualism, and we had a conversation in the pre-show where we talked about how Nick. I don't mean to speak for you, but I believe the way you present yourself is that you are American first. You don't want the hyphen in there. Can you tell us about your opinion on that?
Yeah, I don't turn my back on my culture. I was born in Vietnam, but Vietnam is not my country anymore. It's a communist country.
That's right.
I fought in 3 different wars: Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraq, and the flag that was on my right shoulder is the American flag. It wasn't the American Vietnamese flag.
Right.
I was an American soldier.
American.
I don't want to live in Vietnam. I don't want my children to live in Vietnam. I love the freedoms of this country. I hate the communism that took over my country, and I'm fighting damn hard to keep that from happening here. So I am an American.
That's right.
I mean, I love the beauty that my culture instilled in me.
Right.
But I also loved, I assimilated very quickly and became an American. And I love the beauty and the culture in America. And that's, you live in America, you should be American. You shouldn't.
That's right.
You shouldn't bring the culture from whatever you ran from and try to assimilate that, because America is great because of America, not because you're bringing your problems over here and thinking you're going to change things. It's just like Democrats escaping from California or New York, coming to Texas, and then still voting Democrat.
Right.
I mean, you left there because of
those policies and everything. Yes.
Alexandria, tell me what you're thinking on that subject.
Oh man, I hate the hyphen. Elon Musk is an African American. I've never been to Africa. I really don't like being called out by my skin color. I am an American citizen, and I am for all Americans. I actually feel like it creates division. Like when people look at me, they're like, "Oh, you're black. Are you like going to lift up black people first and put all these policies that you want to fix the black community?" I'm not like that. I believe that by fixing the problems in America, everybody's community can come up at the same time. I don't believe that we should focus so much on one culture or anything like that, or based on the color of anybody's skin. I absolutely hate that. And I'm going to tell myself a little bit, since I was 5, I've been called a coon, a sellout by people that look just like me. So I've always assimilated to American culture. I've always been an American. I've always shunned certain cultures because they're devilish and very sinful and lead to death. Like, if I look at the black community right now, I see people killing each other. I see music that I don't ever want my children to listen to. By the way, we still listen to Elvis Presley. I see, in blues, B.B. King, all that. We don't listen to the music of today because it's about killing, it's about enemies, it's about jealousy, and this type of stuff is bred in that culture. So I'm not a part of it, you know? So I don't see any issue with shunning that and embracing the culture that God has implanted into me, you know, which is a kingdom culture, a culture, and, you know, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but Jesus Christ is my Savior. He's my Lord. So that is my culture now. I have taken on this new paradigm, if you will, this new creature that I am. And so I don't see myself as a part of something regarding my skin color. And I didn't mean to get so long-winded,
Please,
Chris,
keep
but
going, it's
like
fine.
this is like something that is very near and dear to my heart. You know, I'm running for Congress in District 9. Originally, it started in the hood. It started in 3rd Ward and, you know, all these places where there is a heavy black community. Fort Bend County, there's a heavy black community there. In Missouri City, there's just in Pearland, everywhere, right? And people looked at me like, oh, you know, you're great for the black community. You'll represent them, but it's not, that is not my focus. And I'm not trying to lose votes or anything like that, but my focus is America. Like I see, and I'm just going to shout it out, I see Latinos doing this a lot. Like they will lift up their own people. You'll see their people like headlining stuff. You'll see their people, you know, and when I say their people, I mean like, you know, Hispanic people, Latino people. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just using them as an example. I see them do this a lot, and I feel like it creates division because are you Latino first or American first? Like that's what, you know, and it goes for any culture. I respect Nick Tran because he's not Vietnam American, right? He's an American, and Alexandria is an American. We both just happen to not be Caucasian.
Plain and simple, the left built their whole campaign against the country
Right.
on promoting the small divisions between us.
Yes.
And then creating tensions based on those divisions. They did this through
Absolutely.
propaganda.
Absolutely.
It's a divisionary tactic.
Marxism.
So if a candidate wants to gain credibility today, the way to do it is through ideas.
Absolutely.
It is through ideas and not accentuating these small differences between us, outside of maybe, you know, a slight statement about it,
Right,
of course.
right.
But nothing more than that. Absolutely, America first has to be the default position.
I am America first. Nick Tran is America first. Chris Heasley is America first. And we stand on business, like 10 toes down. Like, seriously, I would die on that hill. Literally, I would die on that hill.
All right, let's do it. Business. So, I mean, I think the economy's in a stalemate. I think that it's where we should be running on a sprint. We should be sprinting at 100 miles an hour. I feel like we're running in hip-deep mud. But with that being said, what I believe is happening is that President Trump is shifting the foundations of the economy.
Absolutely.
That our economy has been, because of the progressive movement, because of the toxic left,
Yes.
this destruction of our society in every way, shape, and form. President Trump was sort of, the economy was a patient in a gurney, and the economy was fixing that patient.
It was.
Everything about our economy is duct taping this problem,
Right.
duct taping that
Band-Aid.
problem, and not a true solution. And
on
so when
now.
President Trump comes along with the idea that we can be a self-sustaining nation, well, I want everyone to remember, before the globalists at that time, the British East India Trading Company did war on the Chinese, on the country of China 200 years ago.
Right.
China was a self-serving nation before opium was deployed on it. It was a self-serving nation.
It was.
Okay. That idea, that concept is the one I believe that drives President Trump, us to be a self-serving nation. When he's talking about placing tariffs to protect our industry, an idea that was forbidden when I was a child. When he's talking about questioning the existence of a Fed and debt-based lending
Right.
for a currency.
Right.
I want everyone to explore that idea.
Yes.
That right there is the 100-pound weight on our backs. It's the debt-based currency. When he's proposing the idea of trial ballooning, the idea of eradicating the U.S. income tax.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. So what I'm trying to say is I believe President Trump is shifting the economy in the right direction.
Yes.
But it's the Fed that is the problem.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve, with their high interest rates that they're purposely placing on our backs and weighing us down as a tactic to ensure the Trump economy never blossoms. That's my 2 cents on the economy. Nick, it's a central point of your campaign. Tell us what you think about the U.S. economy. I'd like to say one more thing. Nick and I were both educated in Boston. I'm a product of Boston College. Nick's a product of Harvard University.
Harvard Business School.
Excuse me, Harvard Business School, both on different sides of the river. But the point being is that when I was in business school, you were not allowed to say anything cross about the Fed. We immortalized the Fed. Wow. And what is the Federal Reserve? The Federal Reserve is nothing more than a Tony Soprano gang. Yeah. It is a Tony Soprano set of gangsters that has a solid command of the English language, and they present themselves as wise old men, our wise elders. They are not, they're smoother than Soprano. But they are nothing but a set of gangsters. And I think that what we need to do is get behind guys like Thomas Massey, Senator Rand Paul, led by his father, the Congressman Ron Paul, with these ideas of ending the Fed, which Donald Trump is now trial ballooning. I think that institution needs to go. And by the way, Nick says on his campaign site that he supports cryptocurrency. I don't know if that's the answer, but I know a debt-based currency is the cancer that's killing our country. I challenge everybody to study what a debt-based currency is. It's the worst form of a currency.
It is.
And it's a cancer.
It is.
And if we get rid of that baggage, by the way, our debt should be written off.
Completely.
It's never going to be paid. It's there to enslave us.
Right.
And like Napoleon stood up to the bankers and said, I'm writing off your debt. I'm outlawing the practice of lending. And then he started to jail bankers. Right. I'm not saying we need to go that far, but we need to go in that direction. Right. And what happened when he did it? The French economy boomed 200 years ago. Right. And so what happened? The powers of Europe set France ablaze. They set a 20-year war on Napoleon, the bankers and the monarchs, to end him because he was doing everything right. DJT, Donald J. Trump, is trying to replicate that model, and the powers that be are going after him in that same way that they took out Napoleon. That's my 2 cents. What do you think, Nick?
Fiat currency, paper money. People are saying, gold is the all-time high. Gold is not at all-time high.
Right.
It just costs more dollars to buy gold because our dollar and fiat currency is devaluing because we're printing so much.
Right. They're actually devaluing our currency. They've been doing this for quite a while, and I think they're trying to push this the digital assets a little bit more. And so I've noticed that they have completely been devaluing our currency, and I've been watching this happen over the years. I believe that what I just said is the purpose is they're pushing the digital currency more and more. They want to eliminate.
Well, cryptocurrency is freedom. So
yes. You
remember, like, during the Biden administration, IRS was being weaponized against conservative companies getting audited. You remember the truckers in Canada who opposed the vaccine had their money locked.
Yes.
Their accounts locked. They couldn't get into their money. That's the government controlling banking, controlling people through banking.
Right.
Cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and XRP, government can't touch that.
That's right.
Right. They're trying to spin it as a way for people to have illegal transactions like drugs or whatnot. People doing that with cash.
Right, they do.
The thing is, when Russia invaded Ukraine, regular Russians who had nothing to do with it had their bank accounts locked by Visa, by all these other things.
Right.
The government can do that to your currency. If you wanted to support conservative organization, buy conservative products, buy guns, buy ammo, they can just limit you.
Look what happened to Kanye. When he said something negative against a certain group of people, they shut down all of his accounts. He had no he could not liquefy any of his assets. Mm-hmm. Everything was closed. JP Morgan, he was done. He had like $1 billion. Okay. He couldn't even buy a cheeseburger. Couldn't even buy a cheeseburger. So they have complete control of you. Especially when you're a public figure, you are controlled by these individuals. It'd be great for them to be gone.
The tentacles come from the Federal Reserve because the Federal Reserve prints the money and then it spreads it out to its ancillary banks. And then there are the Chase banks, all these groups there that are really enslaved. They're enslaved to the Federal Reserve. Yes, and the Federal Reserve is a demonic group that is here to one world government us. That's what they want. They want the New World Order, the one world government.
Central one world government, New World Order.
What's crazy is the Federal Reserve is not even a government agency.
No, it's not.
It's private.
It is.
The Federal Reserve is a government agency, just like Federal Express is. Of course, Federal Express is not. It's a private company. The Federal Reserve is the same thing. I'd like everyone to think about this, right?
Right.
we're in a society. We create a community. One person's a cobbler. One person is a farmer. One person's a cattle rancher. And then I have the print machine, and I print the money.
You control the money.
Right. And I print the machine. It's called a fiat currency. I give the money out. That's fine. But I give it out in debt notes. So now everybody owes me that currency
They owe
back
you.
plus 10 cents. By the way,
Usury.
everyone should understand this.
Don't forget usury.
In that
And
example,
compound interest.
you're permanently in debt.
Always.
Because if I give out $10,000 and I require interest on it,
Right.
you can never pay it back.
Right.
Because where are you going to get the $10,000? Where are you going to get the 1 penny at?
Right.
You can't print. So it's a scam. It's a Tony Soprano scam.
Yes, that was excellent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you'll,
man, a
you'll
lot
be
of roads to
working
go
to
down
be
there.
free.
What's that?
You'll be working to be free, and you'll never be free.
Oh,
It's like a hamster on a wheel.
I really see our people,
Yes,
as debt enslaved.
they're slaves. They're
And
slaves.
when I was a child, there was no such thing as a credit card. There was no such thing as a payday lender. And what they do is they water down our currency. They steal from our bank accounts through the process of inflation.
Yes.
And then everyone has to get jacked up on debt.
Yes.
As a means of survival. And then what we do as a people is we sort of go after one another. Oh, you're in debt. You're not in debt. No more finger pointing the people. All fingers should be pointing at the Federal Reserve.
What do you think about the 50-year mortgage?
Well, I mean, I see that as I don't see that as foundational. I see that as Trump trying to handle this mess. Ultimately, I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to make life,
Easier.
ability.
He wants to
able.
let millennials buy homes because
Yeah.
that's the biggest complaint amongst
But
the
it's
millennials.
it is a tape over. It is a duct tape solution to a problem, and it only worsens the problem.
It is.
Unless you're able to eliminate property taxes, you'll never own that home.
Come on
now you're in the right direction right there.
I mean,
Now Nick Tran for Congress is talking the right language.
what else do you buy that you continue to have to pay taxes on? A car? How about that burger? You still got to pay tax for the rest of your life, or until it's out of your system? I mean, what? We're overtaxed,
Right.
and the damn money is going to other countries.
You never own anything.
What other country taxes their citizens and give it to us? I can't name.
All right. Well, here's the first question I have for you. The United States income tax. I want you to think about when they implemented that in 1913, the same year they did the Federal Reserve, the 1-2 by the globalists, the 1-2 by the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds of America. Okay, but think about it. The American spirit, right? We gave blood in 1776 for our freedom.
Yes.
And then these banking class comes in and says, you're going to give us a chunk of flesh every year as a means of payment, right? Again, Soprano, right? He comes to the local businesses, you got to pay rent. So they do that. And of course, the farmers, everyone, they're like, oh, how are you going to implement that on us? So what do the banker class do? They create the CPA designation. They make it a career. And now the CPAs are out there, the enforcement arm. And I don't mean that to disparage CPAs. That's a great career. I would recommend anyone go get that classification.
Right.
They're not the problem. The banker class is the problem. But the point being is that idea was so demonic to our people in 1913, but they were outsmarted by the banker class. They got the crime passed. I want to ask you a question. When they ask you to show your books every April 15th, is that not, you're naked. You're completely naked. It's immoral. Is it not a violation of the Fourth Amendment? Search and seizure. It is absolutely a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Where are our people standing up, citing the Constitution to take down the U.S. income tax?
Interesting.
Thoughts?
I'm thinking, like, I've never really looked at it that way, but you're not wrong to think that way.
Absolutely. 100%.
Huh.
Show me your papers.
It's voluntary. You're voluntary, just giving the government all your information.
Right,
Yeah.
you're opening yourself up.
And okay, you're going to do bad political speak. We're going to shut down your bank account. Oh, and you're going to give us all the vitals of your income sources. They're going to use it against you.
It's always going to be used against you.
So we can tax you more.
I mean, what we need an awakening. We need a revival.
We do.
We need a revival.
Yes. An awakening for sure. And like you said, a revival, because the people aren't aware. They're not really jumping to, action. And that's what we need. We need a call to action. We need something, bring awareness to this stuff. Us talking about it right now, maybe somebody's like, the light bulb's going off and they're like, you know what? I've never really thought about it that way. So we're helping somebody.
Yeah, I think as a leader of a country, you need to run it like you're running the head of a household. You got to make sure your family's taken care of before you take care of the kid down the neighborhood.
That's right.
I'm sorry if he's missing his lunch. That's his parents' responsibility. I mean, we don't need to be protecting Ukraine's borders when ours are open.
Right.
All right, guys, since Nick went there, we're going to go there now.
We're going there.
All right. So this is my opinion when all of this war broke out. President Trump gets in his first full term. He implements the Abraham Accords. And what happens in response? Worldwide peace.
Yes.
For the first time in our lifetime. Why is Nick having to go from war after another war? Because our world has been a hotbed on fire.
Right.
President Trump puts the fire out. The Abraham Accords come in. Peace. World peace. And that's what we all want.
Right.
Right? But then the minute that President Trump is gone, the war agenda explodes again.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm trying to ask you is there an agenda here to create these wars, or are these wars just organic events?
Wars make a lot of money.
They're not organic. They're definitely planned.
Wars make a lot of money.
It makes a lot of money for Boeing.
Both
It makes
sides.
a lot of money for Lockheed Martin and politicians.
Absolutely.
Like Dick Cheney.
Right. Absolutely.
It's the military-industrial complex.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen war. I was born in war. I lost my country to war. I lost my mom to war, and I fought three damn different wars. And eventually, it's going to be my children that are going to serve as. Historically, it's the children of veterans that continue to carry the torch for us.
That's right.
What pisses me off is they're going to get the weapons that we left, the $10 billion of weapons we left in Afghanistan, used against them. I hate war. I'm not going to send somebody's sons and daughters to war to be the world's police state.
That's right.
Or to build nations. If we're sending our loved ones, our blood and treasure to war, it better be damn well to be protecting our sovereignty,
We need to start here.
our interests, putting America first. If it has no benefit for America, we don't need to be there. We don't need to topple governments. We've done that many times, and none of it's worked out.
So I like to make one comment. Okay, we call it the military-industrial complex, but I believe that does a disservice to our military because our military are the good guys.
Yes.
And I think that term was created specifically to taint our military. Again, everything the left does is to subvert. The truth is it should not be called the military-industrial complex. It should be called the CIA industrial complex because it's a marriage between the intelligence agencies and the banker class. That's who it is. Now, I'm gonna cite something here. We talked about Vietnam. Vietnam War, 55,000 American dead, 3 million Vietnamese dead.
Right.
For what?
Right.
We had no interest in that war, and we were told we had to go there because of the Gulf of Tonkin. And now the truther theories are coming through, and they're making the argument that the Gulf of Tonkin, where an American PT boat was shot or something of that sort, it never happened. It wasn't even a false flag. When there's a false flag, they at least stage an event. They didn't even go that far. They just had a reporter write a story, and boom,
It was propaganda.
they got their war. Bloodshed on that country that is indescribable. Thank God Nick survived it. You heard the stories he had to tell. And what I'm trying to say is that it is time to stand up to these intelligence agencies and their partners in the banks that are selling these war loans and causing our world to go ablaze.
Absolutely.
Hey, Chris, I just wanted a little correction there because from somebody who escaped from Vietnam and understands the war very intimately, it was over 58,000 Americans that died fighting for our freedom initially. Of course, many died afterwards.
Yes. It wasn't.
It was
55,
Vietnam
it was
vets.
58. Yes. That's true.
Went across the world and fought for our country, for our freedom.
Yes.
And when they came home, they got spat on.
They sure did.
American
Mistreated.
Vietnam veterans is the reason why I served. So I want them to know, like when we lost Afghanistan, and I see people rushing to the embassies on TV it was deja vu for me because the same thing happened in Vietnam. And I fought in Desert Storm and liberated Kuwait. And I didn't know what I did. I just knew I served. I knew that we did our jobs. But it wasn't until I went to business school and I had Kuwaitis in the classroom, found out that I fought in Desert Storm and liberated Kuwait. And they all threw a party for me and said I was a hero. Like they were teenagers and we liberated them from oppression. So my message is to Vietnam vets who went across the world and fought for us. You saved our lives. And you didn't get thanked for it. You didn't get welcome home. And, everything I've done in the military is to honor our Vietnam vets, to pay homage to what you did as warriors from one brother to another, even though we're in different generations. You did something that maybe people didn't tell you, but you are our heroes.
Well, I think that, we saw our Vietnam vets come home discouraged from that event. Of course they were. I mean, it was meaningless. They lost their brothers. They lost their limbs. It was a horrific experience for them, what they saw. But every war, we need to realize the World War II, the World War I soldiers, when they came home, they were the same way. They had that trench warfare. They came home. It's reoccurring. World War II soldiers, my grandpa raised me, and I mean, those guys, to deal with their PTSD, they drank themselves silly.
Right.
And so, yeah, absolutely. The Vietnam vets, the World War I vets, the World War II, all of them, they come home from these wars and they ask the questions. On the European side, they do the same thing. All those boys are going home too and asking, what was this about?
Right, what was it
and
about?
I think it's time we as a collective come together and denounce the war agenda.
Yes.
Across the board.
I agree. War is unnecessary. In a civilized society, there's really no need for war. Are we conquering still? What are we doing? I mean, what's the purpose? Why are we sending our young men and women to die in these battles? What are we doing? What's happening? Why can't we talk these things out? Why can't we debate? We don't have to just bomb you to get you to that's like a gang. That's how gangs operate, through intimidation. We need to intimidate you with our weaponry. Is that how we need to operate? What kind of society is that?
Yeah. I mean,
there are cultures that you can't really reason with. They just need to be bombed.
You're right.
Like ISIS.
That's different. Okay, that's different. But I mean,
we shouldn't be going to war unless, like I said, unless it's directly to defend
necessary.
Americans and
our interests.
Yeah, our interests.
Right. I totally agree with you.
We went to Iraq and tried to rebuild that country with Western values. In Afghanistan, that doesn't work.
Yeah, can't do it.
They don't want it,
and they don't understand what it means to be an American or what our values really are. They actually reject our Western anything. They
the message should be: if you attack us, we're going to go there,
right,
and we're going to use what the military is designed for, is to kill you.
Absolutely, you're dead,
and we'll kill you, and we'll leave, and we'll repeat that as many times as we need to until you get it.
Until you get it, until you understand.
But we shouldn't be there for 20 damn years. Shouldn't spend $2 trillion and take off with our tail tucked between our legs. That's not how we should do things.
Do you think they need to doge some of that stuff and find out where all of those trillions of dollars are actually going?
I think everybody needs to be doged. Every department.
I agree.
And we need to get some of that money back. I mean, why are we spending millions of dollars on gender studies at Sesame Street in Iraq?
I agree. No point.
I mean, $48 billion. Okay, $48 billion to Ukraine at the time where, you remember when Florida and North Carolina got hit with hurricanes and
yes.
and
the people
California
got
was burning?
$750.
I think Americans could use a tenth of that money.
You sure could have.
Yeah, I agree. I'm done with sending this money overseas. I
me too.
Our cities are in a desperate state, and we continue to send our money overseas. But again, us Americans, we keep talking about it, and we need people like Alex and Nick here to stand up and run and to make this stuff happen. We got like 5 minutes left, guys.
That's it. Because I wanted to talk about selling land to China.
I'm handing the floor over to you, and that's what I was going to say. Is that we have a couple of minutes left, 5-10 minutes. What do you want to talk about, Nick?
People ask me, when I decided to run, I never thought I'd be a politician. I wanted to be a political outsider. I wanted to fight for the people, not for DC. I signed the term limit pledge. Before I even signed the pledge, it was already on my website. I think serving as a public figure should be done in service, and that's why I'm going to donate a third of my salary to veterans. You got to do it for the right reasons.
Yes.
I don't plan on taking money from foreign lobbyists. Not
Amen.
taking money from AIPAC. I believe Israel has every right to defend herself, but that's on Israel. We need to take care of Americans.
Yes.
I believe in people. We should have term limits for Congress and Senate.
Yes.
I believe if Congress is going to shut down the government, they shouldn't be getting paid, and they shouldn't get back paid.
Amen.
That should motivate them to not play political games to shut down the government to get their ways. I don't believe in ominous bills where you have 10,000 pages with stuff stuck in there. It should be
clear
you should
and
understand what
concise.
you're passing.
That's right.
And how do we fix that? Somebody who believes, somebody who thinks outside the box, and somebody who's not part of the establishment that it's always been done this way, so we should do it this way. No, we shouldn't, because it's not working.
That's right. I like that you're anti-establishment, Nick, because I am
bit.
too. I am like this beast that we call the establishment. I think its day is over. I actually do. These campaigns that we're all involved in, these are different types of campaigns, and I think a lot of people look at data, numbers, and that's the traditional way of looking at things, but there have been a lot of changes that have occurred. Like within my race started off in one district, now it moved to another district, now they're fighting to put it back in the old district, now they're fighting, back and forth, appeals back and forth, going to the Supreme Court about my district. It's a different time. And people want to know, are you authentic? Are you who you say you are? When I meet you, do you feel like I could just talk to you like a regular person? They want to see you in person. Your ground game has got to be great. It's not about I raised millions of dollars, but it's about I met 1,000 people and they all like me. They're all going to vote for me. These people like me. They looked me in my eyes, shook my hand. These people in your district, I'm telling you, they want to meet you, the person. They want to get to know you as a person. It's not about the money anymore. It's about who you can talk to, how you relate to the people, and authenticity is winning right now. I'm telling you, authenticity.
My opponent's raised much more money than me, and it's got endorsements from political career politicians. My endorsements come from true patriots like
Come on now.
Colonel Allen West,
Yes.
Veterans for America First.
Yes.
And my resume wasn't built rubbing elbows in D.C. with local elites. It was created on the battlefield in Afghanistan and Iraq in the trenches. It was built in the boardrooms of oil and gas with people who work for our energy independence, who fought for our country. So I'm a proven patriot. For me, it's about representing the people that didn't have a voice.
Yes.
Who's tired of political elites fighting for D.C. and not for them.
Ideas are beating money.
Big time.
Over and over again. I would say high 80%.
Yes.
Ideas beat money. John Cornyn has millions more than Ken Paxton at this point. Ken
Right.
Paxton's leading in all the polls.
Right.
So ideas win, and that's a great thing for our country.
Yes.
Yeah, your message is great. It's 10 times better than the money.
Yeah, it is. They just want to know, are you different than all these other people that we trusted when we put them in and they did the opposite and joined the establishment and did what the establishment said to do? That's what they're wanting. They don't want a person that's going to get in there and make all these promises and never build on that, never make good on these words that you spoke. And then you start just palling around with your buddies in Austin and your buddies in DC and then you get to know all these people and then now you're all popular and famous and it goes to your head and you're not doing anything that you promised these people that you would do. They're looking to us. So we have to bring a new era of service. We have to bring them something different that they've never experienced, which is actually reaching them, letting their voices be heard, saying what they're saying at their kitchen tables, not being in our own personal bubble and then assuming this is what they're saying when they're not saying this while they're eating their eggs and bacon. They're literally saying, hey, look, we're struggling out here and we're not asking for a handout. We're asking, can this be gone? Can this be changed? Can this be made easier? How are we going to do this when we've got all these companies, this corporatocracy coming in here, taking over our businesses and doing all of this? They want to know, are you going to answer their questions, or are you going to be an establishment puppet? And they're tired of puppets. They're done with career politicians. They are done with the establishment, and they don't even know exactly what the establishment is. It's a beast. It's like this I don't know, it has no real form, but it's out there, it exists, and there are people that are a part of it.
Nick, I got to jump in, man. Got to ask you a question. If I understand you correctly, you're a strong supporter of RFK Jr. and his agenda for cleaner, healthier foods, cleaner, healthier natural medicines.
I love that.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, is no longer about food; it's the Drug Administration. So I had an episode where I thought I was having a heart attack. I went to the emergency room. Turned out I was full diabetic, and because my mom and dad were diabetics, and doctors all through my life told me it's hereditary. And the VA doctor told me, "Hey, we're going to put you on statins." And I've been watching this guy on YouTube called Dr. Berg, and talked about carnivore diet and then ketogenic diet. And then I told the doctor, you know what? I'm not going to take statins. I'm going to try this new diet. I'm going to reduce all my seed oils. I'm going to not eat rice.
Amen.
Because rice turns to glucose, and my parents were diabetics because they eat rice for everything. And so she said, prove me wrong 6 months later, and I did that. I went on a full straight carnivore diet and went savage on it. I cheated now. I'm actually now a carnivore / keto diet. And long story short, I'm not diabetic anymore. I'm not even pre-diabetes. My cholesterol is the lowest it's been in 25 years, and I eat red meat, I eat butter, and eggs, and it's changed. I mean, and the side effect is I've lost weight. Not that I wanted to. It's just those
It
benefits.
happens naturally. Yes.
But I feel great. I have no brain fog. I have energy, and what RFK is doing is well needed and way like overdue. I mean, schools. My kids' schools, they feed them tons of stuff. Every single thing has seed oils in it, and I make them bring their own food.
That's right.
And try to educate them. And my 7-year-old son's in the grocery store with me and looking at ingredients. I was like, "Is that good?" And he's like, "Oh, it's got seed oils." I was like, "Sorry, bud, no Oreos."
Yep, no Oreos.
One of the tactics that they use, I believe that pretty much all these ailments that we're having are because they've been jacking up our foods and our medicines, everything that they give us with just toxins. But what they do as a tactic is they always put the focus on you. When you come with an ailment, they say, "Oh, does this run in your family?" Right? And the answer is always like, no.
Right.
But why are they doing that? Because they want the idea is that you're the problem.
Right.
So that you never look at them as the problem. Oh, do you have this one in your family? The right response should be, are you giving me medicines that are causing these ailments?
Right.
Point the finger back at the medical professionals that are pointing the finger at you.
Yeah, the whole medical education and system needs to be
It's the Rockefeller School of Medicine.
Yeah.
refreshed. I mean, everything's built on drugs, so it's about not treating the actual causes, it's treating the symptoms, and it's making big pharma.
Then you got to
rich.
treat the side effects.
So you're just treating the effects with these experimental drugs like the COVID vaccines. And you're forcing it on people. And I want to take statins because it makes it's a drug that for big pharmaceuticals get money on. You're not treating the cause.
Does that diet, does it help type 1 diabetes?
I don't know, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Knowing that a lot of the foods you eat, high carbohydrates turned into sugar,
Right.
And because I think you spoke, you have a family member with type 1. Definitely look the fact that food is medicine. What you put in your body affects what goes out, even if it doesn't get rid of it because you're insulin dependent. It definitely doesn't. It makes your life a lot easier.
I like that.
Yeah. And do you think that these that what they're putting in our foods is causing ailments in our children?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel all the damn vaccines that they put into a baby even before they leave the hospital, the day
78
they're born.
vaccines. Mm-hmm.
As part of your tribute to my son having ADHD.
They threaten you if you have a baby and you choose not to get certain like the eye drops that they put in, and if you're a rejecter of vaccinations, and I'm going to tell you why I know this because I am. they will put your name on a list and they will send a CPS worker to your home.
Yeah, it's sad.
They will come into your room right after you've had a child. They will come in and talk to you and try to talk you into getting these vaccines and not being anti-vax in any way. And
Why are you not? Why are you? You just said I'm not anti-vax.
No, I am anti-vax.
Oh, okay, good.
I've had this experience. They come to your house and check on your baby. If you don't get what they require, you can't get certain assistance if you reject vaccinations. So a lot of people go along with the program, right? And they inject their children with, I think, 78 vaccines, like you said, before they're a certain age. So
It's like 26 vaccines before they're 5. And in 1974, there was only
like 3
5.
or 4. Yeah, it wasn't even.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's finish up. Alex, tell me what the state of your campaign is. How are things going?
Well, we are grassroots. So, and I am anti-establishment, so we don't necessarily have the backing of the Republican Party, although I am a Republican and, that happens to be this color, but my opponents I've met them all. I've had some very interesting conversations with them. There is one that's kind of, I'm not going to name anybody's name, but there is one that's kind of a headliner with the Republican Party. I think he's met a lot of people in Austin, Texas, met a lot of people in different places trying to get Trump's endorsement, things of that nature.
He's the guy that stabbed Ken Paxton in the back.
Right. He voted to impeach Ken Paxton, and there's just a lot of things, but I think a lot of people jumped into this race when it seemed advantageous for them, right? Because when it was in Third Ward and Sunnyside and that area, you heard nothing about these individuals or their intent on jumping into this race. But when they found out that it was going to be redistricted, which I had no idea when I entered the race, that's when you see all of these names jump in because, I'm already here in Baytown in this district, so I might as well take Pasadena, Galena, and LaPorte and all these other places too, But so when it wasn't advantageous, I jumped in. So how is my campaign doing? We're grassroots. We're not broke.
Yeah.
We're grassroots.
So I'd just like to say that I played a considerable role in taking out the establishment Republican Party in Fort Bend County.
Right.
And also largely challenging the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, and putting them in a stalemate position. And okay, that happened, and what's happening now is that establishment group is sort of dying on the vine, and we're coming in with this new, fresh group. But I want everyone to realize that within the new group is establishment elements.
Yes.
Or people that want to assume the establishment mantle.
Yeah, they try to create a new establishment.
They do. And we are naive if we think our work is done. Our work is not done.
It's just
now, the new group coming in doesn't have its sea legs planted yet.
That's right.
So there's a chance to keep them honest. But that's through activism and talking straight talk to them. And it can happen, but I just think it's very important that everyone understands that, yes, even though we're seeing largely a grassroots thing happen, that if we think the job's done, it's not done. We move the ball down the field, but
when money starts flowing into the grassroots, that's my biggest concern, because, I did see that our governor, Greg Abbott, has decided to put a lot of money into grassroots in the Houston area, trying to flip Houston red. And I've noticed that what he's doing, but there could be, and I'm not saying there is, I'm saying, but what could happen, like you said, is that there could be an establishment within that because money's starting to come in and they want to restrict people and not her, not him, not, they becomes that clique. People form cliques, and that's kind of what I see happening, but I don't want a racial divide. And that is what I actually see happening within this new establishment that's being formed. A racial divide, like, I'm going to put all my people here, we're getting the money, we're at the head of here, we're doing this, now we can do our people, first.
Yeah, it has to be America first. We have to keep everybody honest.
America first.
And I think everyone needs to realize that there is a corporate agenda that even though the grassroots comes in, the corporate agenda is still coming. They still want the new infrastructure buildings built. They still want the farmlands torn up for county toll roads.
Right.
All of that stuff. So we are really just scratching the surface, discovering the problem, but not curing it. Right. Nick, you made a campaign pledge about your salary, about your commitment to the veterans. Can you
Yes.
tell us about that?
Yeah, so before I even signed the term limit pledge, I made a pledge that I was only going to serve 3 terms. And I also pledged that I would give a third of my salary to veteran causes. What I did in 12 years of oil and gas industry, I built a global veteran program for Schlumberger, helping vets, thousands of vets get job within oil and gas industry, help vets get off the streets, help vets recover from homelessness, and just empower vets, give them the ability to reintegrate back into society. Because I am a vet, I know what it's like to have served this country and come home and not be able to be successful in the civilian world. So we did what we could to change that. My campaign is growing. The momentum has skyrocketed, especially after being on Lieutenant Colonel Alan West's podcast and endorsements from Veterans for America First. My endorsements don't come from career politicians. They come from politicians. My resume is not from cocktail parties in D.C.
Come on now.
It literally was built in the mountains of Afghanistan, the deserts of Iraq, as an enlisted soldier, not as an officer. So, an enlisted is the backbone of the military, and I was there with the troops as a combat medic, getting my hands dirty and protecting and saving lives, not just American soldiers and civilians, but also the enemy.
Right, the enemy.
I mean, that's the greatness of America, and that's what we're continuing to fight. I'm definitely not raised as much money as my opponent, but my message is 10 times stronger.
That's right.
And in my donations, even though as today it's $138,000, but it's from over 8,500 donors.
Right.
And so you're talking about people who don't have a lot of money. I have donations that are like $1.50, but they're from the people, not from large, well-established PACs or from big companies, from big donors. They're from regular people because they're tired of the establishment. They're tired of the political elites choosing or telling them who their next representative should be. Mm-hmm. They want somebody who has been in the streets with the people, who've been laid off in oil and gas like I have,
right.
Who's worked 3 jobs, who's went to community college and then ended up in Harvard Business School, not because I'm extraordinary, because I came here, as a refugee without anything but the clothes on my back. And I just toughed it out because America is that great. It's not because I'm that great. I just was too stupid to stay down. America gave me the opportunities. And though I went to Harvard, which is a very liberal school, I was smart enough to know to get in there, but smart enough also to keep my head down and keep my mouth shut and graduate. And then slam them on the survey at the end of the semester.
I know, that's right.
And told them to stop talking about politics and just teach. But the fact of it's about the people. It's not about, they need somebody from the regular people who
Of the
fight
people, for the people, by the people.
Not to fight for DC.
Right.
And we're tired of it. You got to try something different. You want different results.
Come on now. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's insanity.
Yep. Well, Nick, I just want to say that I completely respect and appreciate your commitment to your fellow veterans. I'm an advocate of cut, slash, and burning the fat on our government, with the exception of our veterans. All resources, all services, all amenities for our veterans need to be protected,
Absolutely.
restored, and made completely financially solvent.
Yes.
And I find your story to be truly fascinating. I feel like you're a very interesting man.
Yes.
I think we've only learned a fraction of a percent about you. Unfortunately, we just have 1 hour, so that's all we get. But I find your story to be very amazing and incredible. And I'd like to hear more about it in future, possibly future shows, appearances on this show.
Thanks, Chris. I do want to say, my campaign is not just about veterans. Of course, spending 12 years in oil and gas, it's about America's energy independence, and to take some of those regulations away and allow us to actually have the ability to prosper. Texas, especially our district, has a lot of oil and gas jobs.
Yes.
And my logo has the pump jack, the oil and gas pump jack, and also the second 2A stands for Second Amendment. Those are 2 things I'm fighting for. Of course, I'm fighting to finish the border, but also to keep us out of wars that we don't need to be in, endless wars, and also to make sure that our tax dollars aren't used for things that are not benefiting America.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that America First agenda from an economic perspective,
Absolutely.
and I sort of took the ball with it and went down the road of getting rid of debt-based lending. But absolutely, we could spend another hour talking about American energy independence. This state,
Absolutely.
the amount of resources under our feet is almost incomprehensible. and because of the environmental movements, because of other political movements, because our foreign investors are dictating what energy we use in the state of Texas. Texans aren't dictating that.
Right.
Foreign investors are dictating it because they got the contracts to pull the energy out of the ground. That stuff needs to change. So
That's that corporatocracy. They come in and they dictate what happens. It's like Blue Cross Blue Shield here. They dictate how Texas operates with healthcare. You know, that's what we're seeing. They don't want HSAs. They don't want guaranteed renewable coverage. They don't want the people to be protected, really. They just want they want to keep putting a Band-Aid on Obamacare. So energy and healthcare are going to be very important subjects coming up.
Give me one quick statement on energy independence for America. What does that mean for you?
It means let all the gas companies do what they do
Right.
best.
Unleash them.
I mean, you really want China to drill, or do you want a country like ours who do it responsibility? You know, with making sure the environment is still intact,
Absolutely.
but also provide affordable, reliable energy. I mean, you know, the green energy mandate. You have energy that is sporadic, it's expensive,
Yeah.
and it's not where you want to be. Yes, we do have to evolve our energy
Right.
sources, but it has to be done at the right pace and without, you know, like what happened with Germany when they shut off gas and then ended up having to buy it from Russia. It's just not smart.
Are you talking about with the explosion, with the Nord Stream pipeline explosion, or you're talking about something else?
I'm talking about something else where they had green mandate. They have actually green party that for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, China right now is building nuclear power plants by the dozens.
Yes.
Wow, like I said, our energy policy for the state of Texas is being dictated by foreign investors.
Absolutely.
And we're building windmills and, you know, and solar panels, which
People just don't understand how much damage that does to the environment.
The environment
like
that you're trying to protect.
The solar panels, how much land is required for wind farms is just, and the animals that it kills is just sporadic.
And how much is it impoverishing us to pay for these energy sources that don't work?
They don't work.
They work, but it's just not at the level. The technology is not there yet to be efficient, to rely on them. Yes, oil and gas is going to be around for at least another 80 years, whether people like it or not. And you honestly, do you want some third world country or undeveloped country to actually export that gas, or do you want us to get it for you?
I'd rather it be us, for sure. Drill, baby, drill.
Awesome talk, guys. We're going to conclude it there. It was a great hour, and I think that you need to tune into the CD9 campaign, the CD8 and CD9 races. We got two incredible candidates here.
Thanks.
And get the popcorn out because those congressional races are going to be awesome in the state of Texas. We always have great competitions in the state of Texas, and Nick Tran in CD8 and Alex Butler in CD9, they are going to be doing a bang-up job in those races, so I looking forward to it. And this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. We will catch you here next week with one more hot topic. Have a great week.
The show went fast.
This is the Chris Heasley Show.
Got you, bud, for
coming to you from Radio Demand, the North America's premier broadcasting network.